Oh, on stream after our stream. Yeah. 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 No. Oh no. He's salting.
Damn.
I know, dude.
Oh,
I gotta find out what you're looking at because I don't know if I'm seeing the same ones. I think I was, but it's
mm.
good.
I sent
Welcome
him the
back,
same ones.
everybody. We've got the whole squad today. Believe it or not, Dan's coming in. He's flying in late as he's headed back to the studio to get live with us. We got Rob Levy back in action, which I can't tell you how happy I am about that because he always just, you just bring the calm, like he's already calling this pullback a trap. Like it's just what I want to hear right now. And we've got Crypto Messiah off to the left there. How you doing today, guys?
Doing wonderfully.
I'm feeling.
Depends what chart you look at, or if you just don't look
I'm
at
just,
charts.
you know what? Like, I'm just, like, I know a lot of people are in pain or whatever today. Like, I'm just not feeling it. Like today, I'm down, right? But I ran the calculations and my portfolio is down like 3% today. So I'm not really gonna sweat it. And it kind of sucks because we finally got this AVAX Coinbase listing. That's something everybody kind of knew was coming, and it just so happened that the Coinbase listing had to happen on a day where the dollar was just going fucking crazy, pumping. So it ended up being a bit of a sell the news event, but still, I mean, AVAX looks very resilient here. It looks good. So
Yeah,
not
the
not
Rob
too much
Levy
concern.
index is rallying today.
Not too much concern. Things
we've talked about
look
it.
like they're catching a bid. Bitcoin looks decent. ETH looks decent.
I tell you, I, I just have this weird feeling, and I'm right on the fence. I feel like we're about to get scammed on something. I feel an incoming scam. Maybe I am so wildly bullish of, midterm, long term, that whole thing. Something just feels weird. There's a lot of just. I'm not scared of the dollar rallying. I think that's probably a trap, but I'm not. I am not. My long-term conviction, watching everything go on with this debt ceiling stuff in the U.S. and all this other shit, and everything that China's trying to it's making me so much more long-term bullish. It's like crazy. So
I mean, I'm just wondering, because the Trump administration obviously, was like very concerned about the markets, and anytime the markets went red, like you better believe, one of those fucking dudes was up there the next day or even that day saying like,
plunge,
basically just
protect.
crushing the dollar, But I'm watching this right here, and the dollar looks pretty good. I'm wondering at what point one of these clowns comes on and says something that crushes the dollar. Like what are they going to do? And regarding this debt ceiling crap, like when are they going to announce that it was like voted to be raised or fucking whatever they do? Like
They are.
What is going on with that? If you can give us like the TLDR, I'm 5 years old, because I've been hearing little bits about debt ceiling and bills passing, and I saw the guy holding up the stack. How could you summarize that?
I mean, they have a check and balance system, and if they go over a certain amount, they have to come together and agree to raise this debt ceiling. And I mean, this is like the same movie we've watched how many times? It's just always, well, we're coming up to the debt ceiling. We got to raise the debt ceiling. The debt's always increasing, and then if it comes at these kind of more intense times where Republicans and Democrats are trying to come together on bigger bills and other shit, they horse race, and I heard that like even the Democrats today, there's a lot of infighting, there's a lot of stuff going on. I think they have to pass this debt ceiling thing, but all this other stuff, I think it's going to get pushed out. I don't think much is going to get done in the near term. I could be dead wrong. But the debt ceiling they're going to raise because they have to. It's the dumbest thing. Like, they just have to do it, period.
Yeah.
Like, they're not going to take it to October, whatever, and then they're going to do it. And I don't know. It just makes everything that, like,
what's the fucking point of that? Is it more like a reason to pass some kind of package? You know, like just because these guys, they shove in fucking 20 things that are unrelated to the main
The lobbyists.
Yeah.
oh yeah, and by the way, we need to have this in there, and we need to have this in there, and not, I just don't.
That for normal bills, yes, but the debt ceiling thing is just, I think you got
the other vote on it. Okay, it's raised.
Yeah, but I do love, like, every time you get them, like the Joe Weisenthal Bloomberg guy calling for mint the coin, just mint the $1 trillion coin, and then it just, I think the whole farcical nature of that minting $1 trillion coin, it makes me so much more bullish, like Bitcoin and
scarce assets.
Oh, it just, like, I want to throw out Messi's gifts on that. Like, I just want to. It just makes me really excited. So I'm super bullish. Does that mean? I mean, we could get a scam dump for sure. I mean, this is Bitcoin.
What does the chart on my screen make you feel right now? This was a bit of a meme I put together yesterday, but I just thought, I saw a lot of anger on Twitter yesterday, and it's something I remember seeing in July, where you get a lot of these witch hunts starting up, and people would just have literally nothing else to do that day because the market's shit. Will, like, cook up a thread about somebody and it's attacking them. And it's not to comment on the one everyone probably knows, the one I'm talking about from Zach. Won't get into that commentary. I don't know the guy he's outing, but it just reminded me in the comments, everyone's like, yeah, screw them, they made money and I'm poor. Like, there's a lot of anger right now. So I just cooked up this chart for fun. How does it make you feel? It's not my official prediction, by the way. It's just like, I do think we have another leg down, and then do we bounce hard or do we just move sideways and drip? Like,
can you zoom it out a little bit?
We got to turn you up a little bit, Dan, or get closer to the mic or something.
Oh yeah, get that mic in there.
I mean, I think
welcome back, by the way, Dan. So nice to see you.
Yeah, look at him.
We do need you up though on the volume. If you can get that mic closer, or I can try to crank you up on this side.
Look at how good Gunny looks there. Look at that.
I don't know how to zoom this in. Like, I built it on my 4K and it's on the 1080p now, so like it's a little enlarged already.
I'm not loving. I think people will be calling for 20,000. Like, people will be calling. You'll see targets coming out if we we go trade down there. Yeah. You'll see people calling for 10,000 again.
Well, and that's why I like these reload zones, right? And that's actually was my take, is like, I think we can get another. We always talk about 3 drives, right? This has been our second move down from the high, the recent high. And so do we get that third one down? And that's usually kind of the end of that pullback, and it would be right where people start calling for the bear market. I've seen a lot of charts that basically say we're invalidated if we move lower one more time. So for fun, I think this is more about the levels, not necessarily the timeline. I don't know that we'll rally through December. That'd be weird, but
I found it interesting, just this last little push up, the way it just like immediately deflated. It made me feel that things were like very tired, like there was really no catalyst to be. I'm not saying that we're going to shit the bed, but there was no catalyst to be moving higher. And then if you have a sell-off in the rate, in the treasury markets, or you have a strengthening of the dollar, like the market's going to grab onto whatever they can. So if you have even a small uptick in interest rates, like everyone's going to get in front of that, which is a risk-off trade. So.
Well, Jordan DeJuice wins the day. He just taught me how to zoom in and out on the charts. Look at that. I get more pixels.
Dude, gold.
That's awesome. Control
like
5.
Is the complacency that the question will be, it won't be known until after the fact. Like, is the complacency rally actually the recent high?
This whole thing, like, do we zoom out? Oh, that's what you mean, like zoom out and then maybe. And that's the thing with these cycles, right? Like this one, during it, you couldn't see it, and then as soon as we rallied, I thought, damn, we just kind of had like a full little cycle. And this, this was out. I think Dan Trades, a few guys on Twitter put this out as well, and we had talked about it. And then I just kind of reimagined it here for fun. But like, this whole arm could be the complacency, and we've talked about that as well, Dan. You and I about during the shit in the summer, we just said like, look, the debates about debates
a real caution sign.
The debates about is it a bull, is it a bear? Those happen up at resistances. They don't happen like, oh, it's a bear and we're just gonna have a straight shot. So we figured there's gonna be this rally, and now it's like, oh fuck, like, and the way I see it is if there's continued bull. Again, just like this argument had to happen up here if it's going to be a bear, now the bulls have to step in to make their play. And I think that they're more likely to do that down here. And then, interestingly enough, right when everyone was about to capitulate their bearish positions and go for the glory, we reversed. And that, I think, could happen down here as well. That's the bullish take. I mean, I'm dangerously, I guess you could say, sure of this whole bullish Q4. And I wrote yesterday in the newsletter, I have to kind of start questioning that a bit, if nothing else, just to make sure I don't get washed again by a bear market if we did get into something like that. I still feel it. I think down here is where I'd like to make a stand, and if we get washed there, then see in a year.
You have good optionality. It's like
you get just one.
If you're gonna puke it, you're gonna puke it quick, and
and you're getting in closer to the low instead of like invalidating 45% below your entry, right? Let's get some.
Hawkish or dovish? Good question, Caleb.
I still don't know. Why is it hawkish and dovish? Where the hell did that come from? These stock guys.
That's an interest rate thing.
Yeah, I still don't understand how we can like be hawkish and tighten and get rates higher with this much debt out there. I think they're in a tough spot. I really do. I don't think any tapering or tightening or anything lasts long at all. And that might be when like that aha moment when we can't really taper and there's another tantrum and all that shit. It might be right after that where they pull off and then it's eased again. And then Bitcoin and crypto just literally launches into the complete solar system. But
stratosphere.
I don't think, I think we're in uncharted territory. They're going to taper, they're going to tighten, whatever the hell they're going to try to do when inflation's running hot. And I think they're going to run into problems. But,
I just want to share one cheat sheet item for anyone watching, because it's an hour-long show, and I think sometimes it's hard to pull out. Look, I think the thing most people want to know if you're in this market is like, what's coming next? What does the analyst... Look, nobody knows, as we always say, how low this is going to go, whatever. But I'll tell you this, as a signal, and this is the highlight of the newsletter, you should check it out, herelabs.io if you haven't already, from yesterday, is just the volume. And I think, as Rob and Dan, I think you guys have been in the business a long time, trading in that. Would you agree volume is probably the most valuable indicator? Am I going to make that case alone today, or would you guys agree with that?
I mean, I think it's a very strong tool that you need to use with what's going on in the market, and then the things that are happening, the things that are expected, the things that have been, like, for me, it's so much just about like, is this news priced in? Is this news known?
Okay.
Is this, and then like, but the fact that like low volume, declining volume, going lower tells me like we're just in like a kind of letting some air out of the balloon, finding value, which like if you're looking at those market profiles on the side there is going to tell you somewhere around the bottom of your RLZ.
Yeah.
That you start to find value, and then it just things maybe just base out from there until you have some type of catalyst that
like a new country adopting Bitcoin. I mean, it's unbelievable that happened this year, and we're even questioning but this I would posit, at least as a technical analyst, that volume is the most important part of the chart, and there's two ways to look at it. You can the volume at the bottom, the VPVR at the side, which is how much was traded at each price. And all I'm going to say is, in a nutshell, if somebody wanted like a quick and easy answer, which you usually can't give in TA, is just to wait for the bulls to wake up on the daily volume. And we saw it here magically right at these lows back in July or June 22nd. It was not the exact bottom, but that price ended up marking where the bottom was. And even though we bounced and dripped back into it, you saw another nice green volume bar waking up right there. And yes, to buy that or to say, okay, now I'm ready to get long, you had to buy a bearish retest. You had to start getting long on a 3K candle. But that volume signaled the reversal in both cases at that 29.5 level. And there is just no such volume like that yet. And so if you really want to just play a midterm swing and say, I don't know, how long it's going to take, how low it's going to go, who cares? Wait for a big fat green bar in volume to close, and then start getting back into those lower time frames if you want to find an entry. That's my 2 cents. I just want to get out there today before whatever else comes up.
I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree at all.
And that's coming from like me sitting here on the 3 or 4 hour, 15-minute charts, and I'm just as much a victim of it as it is you guys. Like, I'll zoom into this and I'll say, ooh, look, we bounced in a little tiny reload zone here. Like, I want to buy this stuff. I want to be long. I think it's the cheapest it's been in a month and a half, and I feel really good about these entries. But then I zoom out after I get chopped once or twice, and I'm like, oh, what am I doing? Just wait. Let the market do what it's going to do. Don't be on the wrong side of it because you want it to be something else and all that kind of talk. So that's kind of been my mantra this week.
It's smart. I think that's really good trading, man. Like, and what's your fucking rush?
Really? Yeah. There's no rush.
The problem here is that if we get, if we get more sell-off in Bitcoin, we might be seeing this Bitcoin dominance bounce on a macro down move, which those are always not the most unpleasant.
Yeah, those are the worst. You can't. Where are you going to protect yourself?
That is not pleasant, and that it might be what kind of I'm feeling on this scam thing. This, like, you're about to get kind of a test here, but it's the market. We'll see what's happening. There's a lot of single names that have outperformed of late.
So, like the way I'm seeing this is, like I know at some point in the next maybe year, maybe two, Bitcoin is going to be $100,000, or at least be, have made a new high. So one really interesting thing that I'm working towards that you can do, if one of the biggest issues with just going straight Bitcoin is that you're exposed to just the raw volatility of the market. But what if, you could convert that Bitcoin into something that, could generate some real income? So you can actually use AMM positions to your advantage here. And what I'm doing is you can mute the volatility of your Bitcoin exposure by participating in these 50-50 Bitcoin / USD AMM positions. And the behavior of that, once it's in the LP token, is actually very similar to a covered call. And one of the really interesting things here is that, I can farm, I can maintain that Bitcoin exposure. So if Bitcoin does go to the moon, I definitely make money and make less money. But here's the thing, if Bitcoin dumps too, I'm losing less money. I'm not as exposed to the volatility of that. But the thing is if I'm in Bitcoin USD LP, then I'm also able to put myself in a position to where I can generate income with that LP position. So there's no need to, the way I see it, like it doesn't matter, if Bitcoin goes to 35K here, Bitcoin goes to 30K. I don't think that we're living in a reality where we see Bitcoin under 20K. Again, at least, near term. So,
Agreed.
I just think that that's like one of the smarter things to do right now, and one of the things you can do to not be as stressed about everything going on. It's at the end of the day, like I made the comment, I'm going to be retiring shitcoin church. I really have no reason to take on like degenerate level exposure or anything like that anymore. Like if you've made it, the next step is determining how to reduce the volatility of your portfolio and deciding how to, convert your portfolio towards income generation. Once you're there, the volatility doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is, what's my income here. So
the volatility is actually more harmful than anything. And look, I thought about this actually before the show today because I thought you might bring that up, and I first of all, congrats, because I think it's huge to not only get to a point where you're comfortable just changing it up and taking that risk off position. That's kind of the goal of everyone here. So big shout to you for getting there, and then also realizing it. And it's very easy to change the goalposts and just stay greedy and then end up getting washed. So I'm really happy for you. And second of all, I don't even know if you have to make it to do that. I think there's times to go risk off and think about protecting capital no matter how big your account is or how small your account is. And that's the mistake I made, and I think a lot of people made in 2017, right? They reached a level where they were like, this is amazing, life-changing. I mean, I made life-changing, but I hadn't made it. I wasn't where I was ready to stop. And so I kept the risk on, and I actually got, a 96% reminder to the downside why capital preservation is number 1, 2, and 3 on the rules of how to make it. So, is this the day to start saying like, oh, this is where I'm going to take off all my Bitcoin exposure because these guys are right and I should protect capital? I don't know. You got to figure out your own plan specific. This is not the day that I'm rushing to sell things. That weekly chart
ain't pretty.
No, I put it up here because we talked about like, can it go below 20 or not? I don't know. I don't think, this isn't even a conversation for me yet down here. We've got so many levels in between. And
Sailor's average now is, I think I read somewhere is like 27 or something like that.
The reason I brought this up is because this would be part and parcel to like just markets in general, right? You get a nice big rally, you get this complacency bounce, and then and then you get into a reload zone, and everyone's thinking there's a certain number where if we go below it, it can't happen, or if we go below it, we'll never make it back. That's all bullshit. We can go anywhere and end up anywhere. This would be normal, and so a lot of guys at Tier I are looking at the market like this.
That would be so painful.
Totally, and they're not shorting it necessarily into here as much as just saying, hey, this is where I'll be deploying heavily. I don't think that we're there yet personally. I think there's a lot of work to be done here. I think this to me looks more like a midway through a bigger trend, but who cares? Who knows, right? The point is at each level and at each intersection, you need to have a plan. You have to have a signal or an actionable set of responses that you're going to take based on what happens. And I think that's probably the healthiest way to look at this, is not try to make it into something it's not try to predict your way to the end game. You got to
think about how much more powerful and psychotic of Lord of the Citadel that Michael Saylor will be once Bitcoin is like $1 million. He lives right now through that dip and actually makes it through. I can't even fathom what is going to come out.
You're crazy, man.
You're crazy. I mean, oh my God, the Looney Tune shit. We'll see if we really go that deep. It's going to be loony.
Is that Bitcoin?
Yeah, this is Bitcoin. I'm just playing around here, guys. Like the one thing I do admittedly do too much is I'll create a template and I'll live on a chart and I just don't start fresh or zoom out. So don't mind me. I'm messing around, just trying to get a little perspective to you while you guys chat.
Yeah,
that looks like I wouldn't be putting a trade on one way or the other.
Yeah, this is, in that sense, from this view, this is very much no man's land.
Yeah.
It's tricky trading if you try to trade it. Like there's a time in the market where trading is tricky. You don't have a fucking clue where it's going to go. It's kind of gone down a bit, so you don't necessarily want to feel like you're selling, but it's in a downtrend, so should you be buying? Locally, I'm very much wait and see until down in this reload zone. And I think I actually love when I see some fairly well-known analysts that look at this level and say, like, if we get to here, welcome to the 3-year bear market. I love that because that's where people sell into, the reload zone, the local, potential pivot area. So it only works if everyone's thinking that's, they're selling it. Yeah, sadly, it only works if people think this is the start of a bear. That might be why it's not. So I don't know.
Technically, where we are right now should be acting as support. I am.
And it is too. This is our fifth.
Yeah, I mean, Bitcoin is down today, right? But if you look at what's happened in the past with Bitcoin, I mean, the dollar ripped today. I mean, that was a god candle. And,
very much.
Considering that, I think Bitcoin is doing pretty well.
It is held up really well, actually, because look,
been times when
1, 2, 3, 4,
Bitcoin just
5
shits itself when the dollar rips like that, and we're not seeing.
Look at the dollar. I mean, now this has been a move we've been tracking. I actually stopped tracking it for a while because this chop just got so boring to report on. But Coming into this resistance after a very aggressive move off the low, and then, sweeping those highs, dumping back down, testing this trend line. Like, it's just been pure chop down, and now finally it's broken out. So sadly, it looks like it will have some velocity, because when you get a big consolidation like that prior to the breakout, usually there's a lot of energy in it. Do we dare write a chaos PRZ on that?
I mean, are people selling this? Are people going to be selling this little pink line there?
I mean, it's the next piece of hopium, right?
I mean, where you're invalidated pretty much, and I don't know.
Oh.
Yeah, it's the next level. I mean, that's why I put it on there today, because it looked too like skyward without that. And I was like, okay, where's resistance? Well, we've got this low from March 2020, right before the big nuke, and then we've got this test here. So it's a logical stopping point at 94.3 or 94.5 for now. And the question is, like, is this the beginning of a major trend reversal? And I think yes is the answer. Technically speaking, this is a trend reversal now confirmed. So it's just a question of how much will it affect Bitcoin? What can Bitcoin do while it's happening? Sideways at best, maybe. I don't know. My
thesis is still that Gunny makes a great point. The dollar in moments where the dollar is rallying, it is a risk off period, and it's for whatever reason people are moving liquidity.
I think it's China
into the dollar. Yeah, there's China for sure. China wants their stronger dollar, cheaper yuan, the whole thing. I do agree that, like, if Trump was in office right now, he would be talking down the dollar so hard we couldn't even, he'd be such an outstanding talker downer of this dollar, because it could get ugly. But my whole thing is, and I'd love to get a real economist on to talk me through this, the dollar rallying against a basket of fiat currencies that are all also complete shit. That's not fundamentally bearish of Bitcoin to me in US dollar terms. I still think we're going to see this time where Bitcoin can rally while the dollar index is rallying. I mean, all that's telling me is the dollar's it's the nicest house on the block when it comes to these sovereign currencies. Period. It's just.
I think it's an old hat thing, though, right? Dollar rallying is a risk-off environment, like you said, and that's accurate. That's not really even up for debate as much as then is Bitcoin a risk asset, and it is decidedly. So it goes down when it's risk-off, and can we break free from that? Can there be a real driver of demand such that Bitcoin is not at the mercy of that? And maybe we're not there yet. I do agree with you. It could happen. It's kind of like people always say, don't bet on the next paradigm, right? Assume things will rhyme with history, play with what has historically worked the best. And if you get new data and it is a new paradigm, then switch.
Yeah.
So that's why I've been watching it. I don't like the idea that we have to be enslaved to the Dixie chart, but we have been.
Yeah.
And we are.
There's just two sides of it to me. There's the side that is very kind of objective. When the dollar is rallying, it is for a reason. It's because there's actual, people are going into dollars. They're moving into dollars. But there's the other side of, what Bitcoin represents is something altogether different, and it is different than gold, and it's different than the sovereign, fiat currencies. So I don't know. I wouldn't. I'm not trimming Bitcoin length here because I think the dollar is going to rally. It's a longer game, 100%. And I think the longer game picture for me is much more rosy, day in and day out with what we're up against with respect to central bank policy, which is not, it's not a business I'd want to be in right now. A very difficult game for them to manage.
Mm-hmm. Well, I would ask about altcoins, but I think this is a time when I don't even really think there probably is a hot play out there. And if I'm searching for one, I'm just swimming upstream. But there's been a lot of talk of DYDX. Have you guys had any experience with that? I just went to the site today for the first time to kind of look at it. It's like a decentralized. I'm going to put big quotation marks on that because apparently it is fairly centralized on Amazon AWS, and it is kind of like no US users. So how on-chain is it? But it's a derivatives exchange, and apparently right now you're being paid to trade there and essentially getting paid out in DYDX tokens, which are now trading at $25, I believe.
Yeah.
Have you guys had any experience with that? Thoughts on that?
It's the future, baby.
It's the future.
100% the future. I mean, it's
They have some good
on-chain.
ideas.
There, there is this bifurcation of, thought or mentality when it comes to, non-US, US, fully and non-DeFi, DeFi that does have KYC. I mean, we're seeing a completely new paradigm evolve, and there's going to be plenty of successful platforms that, they block out the US because the US on the regulatory front is a clusterfuck.
Matthew, what happened with do you want to share what happened with your airdrop with them? Because I know you've been vocal about it on Twitter.
Yeah, I mean, so like I understand I understand that it's sketchy with the US and everything. But basically I knew that there was going to be a DYDX airdrop. I had been using the platform for months, to make sure that I qualified, and I had run enough volume through there, to make sure that if I did qualify, I'd be at the top. And unfortunately, I don't even know how they did it, but and the thing is I wasn't even being sketchy. I was using the platform as defined by their rule set. I was not using a VPN. I was only using the margin trade product, which ended up being eligible for airdrop. But their margin trade product was open to US customers. I didn't have to use a VPN. I played by their rules 100%. I didn't do anything weird or sketchy. And when I went to go claim my airdrop, they had flagged my address as US. In retrospect, if I had used a VPN, they probably wouldn't have been able to do that. But I wasn't aware that I should be using a VPN because I was playing by the rules. I was using a product that was open to US customers, and because I was doing that, and I wasn't taking that precaution.
Yeah.
But it sucks because that airdrop would have been worth like $500,000 or something crazy like that.
Was it a net airdrop? Like everyone gets 500 coins, or was it like a volume?
No, it was volume weighted. So it was based on tiers of how much volume you had done, and then if you were in the top tier, there was a period in maybe August where you had a month to do a certain amount of volume on their layer 2 exchange. And if you did that, then you were able to qualify and claim for your allocation based on the amount of volume or whatever.
God.
Passed.
3 people told me to start farming that airdrop. I did not.
Yeah.
I'm Canadian. I probably would have soaked that up. Fuck.
So
I'm dumb.
Have,
I'm dumb. You're unfortunate, but I'm dumb.
Yeah, it is an unfortunate situation. You can't win everything. It just sucks because that I've always made sure, like when I have a potential airdrop like that, why not run some trades through there if you're going to do it anyway? Instead of using Uniswap to long Ethereum, buy Ethereum, why not just long Ethereum, 1x on DYDX margin, and that way, you can work towards the airdrop too. It's unfortunate, I've got several friends that are in the same boat. I do think, and of course this is entitlement mindset, but I do think that there are things that they could have done to where nobody would have been screwed out of that. No man left behind. But it is what it is, and I think that you just have to kind of roll with it. It's probably we're probably going to be seeing more, more instances of U.S. citizens being protected from free money.
Yeah, protected. It is unfortunate, and it's it's an unfortunate timing around the recent Gensler stuff. But Little alpha leak. I don't know if anyone knows this, and again, never financial advice. I haven't even done it myself. Not too familiar with the project, but Sherpa Cash over on AVAX has announced that if anyone who's used their product by October 1st, so apparently we still have some time, they've actually come out and said we're going to do an airdrop. So I don't know what it'll be worth. I don't know if the whole project's shit. Don't
free money though. Why not?
Don't shoot the messenger, but something to check out if you guys are watching the show today and you're like, damn, when's the next airdrop? Because that could be one. And I really should go farm.
Interesting.
It's like Tornado Cash.
Yeah, it's a Tornado Cash fork, but Tornado Cash announced that it was coming to Avalanche as well. So it's an interesting kind of situation. I don't think a lot of other things are, or a lot of other protocols are in those shoes, to where you've got the OGs, the guys that made the product, the guys that innovated, the guys that have been around, and then you've got the clone. And the clone existed on AVAX first, and now the OGs are saying, hey, we're bringing our flagship product over to Avalanche. And not only do you get the product, but you get the OGs, you get the team, you get the minds behind it, that sort of thing. So I'm interested in seeing how that plays out.
I think that the users of these platforms should be rewarded. I mean, that to me is I love that. That's and especially the most active users, most active participants, providing value. Absolutely, they should be rewarded. It's great.
Database says, I'm not touching any mixer with any of my wallets. Be curious to know his thoughts. We get a nice roundabout of opinions. I have never used Tornado Cash. I haven't had a reason to. Yeah. I like the idea. I think privacy in DeFi makes sense. I think banks are private for a reason. I think if you send someone money, they shouldn't be able to see all your funds. So I think there's a need for it. And obviously early on, it's where the nefarious actors will go and use that. Hackers love to use Tornado Cash right after they steal funds. So it's obviously got some shady roots to it, some of them, but I think, Secret Network, we've talked about it before. I think the future of DeFi is going to have a privacy layer. So I'm all for new ideas. I don't know what the extent of Sherpa Cash will be other than just to find a clean wallet so you can participate without everyone knowing who you are, which I think is important too for OPSEC, but yeah. Free money, maybe. We'll see.
Pull up the Ripple chart.
Oh yeah, let's check out XRP. What was the announcement? I saw something yesterday.
I was this morning. It was about like a $250 million something.
Oh, NFT thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, the algos for the Ripple headline, they were very, very, very excited about this headline. I mean, whatever programmatically, and then followed up by manually, people were buying the hell out of this. And the timing of it was kind of near the local top of even Bitcoin and the whole market this morning. So it got juice. And that shit reversed hard as the rest of the market kind of reversed from the daily highs. But I think that XRP, the volatility that we're going to see around whenever something is announced on their case from the SEC, we're going to see some wicks and some candles here that are I think they're going to be intense. And just seeing that wick this morning and the amount of money that flowed, like immediately, algos watching it, programmed from it, people looking, that was impressive to me. So
it's kind of a reminder that there's always a bull lurking, right? There's always a bull somewhere. But it also speaks to where we're at right now in the market. When you get a nice catalyst like that and it just shoots up and wicks back down, right? There's whales lurking on both sides right now. And, AVAX, Coinbase news, always bullish when you're getting invited to trade on Coinbase.
Yeah.
But, we got the same thing with AVAX this morning. In fact, that news, interestingly, drove the retest that I was waiting for. And, of course, the retest comes and you're like, wait, is it bull now? But like that, we lost the pennant and then that news just blew us into the pennant and then, back to where we were. So we'll see. You're bullish on XRP. I can sense it. You're subtly, it's not a popular coin, but you got a bag. You feel it.
It's not that I'm bullish. This is all event. This is a major event coming up. I mean, we're going through this time right now where like the regulatory headlines are explosive and they're very powerful, and you can tell that the high frequency desks that the truly like headlines are getting scraped hard, and funds are getting put to work in an automated fashion immediately as soon as shit's hitting the wire. And if this wire thing on the case, on the SEC piece is positive at all, I think we could see some freaky shit out of Ripple. I do. I never was an owner of XRP early on. I was, I faded it. I just wasn't a believer, and sure, I missed that whole rally, but I think there's something powerful at play here, and there's enough eyeballs on it where if this settlement is a ho hum, I mean, look at Kraken's settlement yesterday, 1.25 million for their leverage product, like from the CFTC. I don't know if it's deemed as a slap on the wrist, and then they're going to be relisted at Coinbase and there's liquidity again. I think we can see something fierce. So it's not that I'm bullish. I'm actually excited about what's going to happen when we see some headlines on it.
Who's that woman that was really big into Rip? Who's the big army?
I don't know if she's on board. Tiffany Hayden. Yeah, she was. I am not.
She took a lot of heat for a long time.
Someone in the chat saying I'm in the Ripple army. I'm not even close, bro. No, I'm not.
No, you're in the find the edge in the market, and if you have a thesis, trade it. And I think you're right, and I've heard that from other people whose opinion I respect. That is, if they beat that case, not only could it be a boon for, lightening the weight of this regulatory discussion around crypto, as well as just on Ripple itself, XRP itself more specifically.
You gotta like know also like the implications for a regulator to actually lose a case is so bad for the regulator.
Yeah, it's like precedent setting kind of. Exactly. People can refer back.
They can always refer back. There's like, again, like I've said this like 100 times in the last like 2 weeks, like a regulator's job is really to apply law, right? Yeah. And law is so driven by case law and precedent. And when you're in those situations, like it's going to be a reference point for so many cases going forward that it's very damaging to the regulator. And it's funny because it's like, kind of what's been coming down the pipe with the regulator and like going up against crypto. And there's so many deep pocketed entities that they're going to go up against. Like,
well, it's not the little guy anymore, right? I mean, there's a ton of money involved.
Even the small guys are big. So
yeah, it's funny too. Like, we talk about, those regulated markets are safe and whatever. I mean, wasn't there a story last year? I'm not going to quote it because I don't remember it offhand, but like JP Morgan or something, they had like a freighter ship that they were essentially funding, and it was basically theirs, and it was just exporting mountains of cocaine, and they were laundering the money for the cartel who was moving it, and they got nailed, and they got like a $50 million fine, which is like half of what they made off that ship probably. Right. So
you want that in 20?
Yeah. Like, yeah. So I mean, I have a hard time with all of this stuff, cracking down. And look, bad actors, sure, the fuck out of here. Nobody wants you here. But some of these good projects, the DYDX airdrop from Messi, like there's just a lot of cases where people who are doing no ill or foul harm are getting screwed right now. And I'd like to get clarity on it. And I think that's coming. It's just going to be a bumpy ass road, and some of these precedent-setting cases. So maybe XRP is the champion that, everyone's going to have to change their tune. They're going to be just like, damn, they just set the precedent that the SEC can't touch them on X, and now can't touch anyone on that same X. And they have the war chest to deliver that, hopefully. So maybe there's a bright side.
Can you pull up an Atom chart right now?
I'd love to. You know, I had a really good chat this afternoon with the guys I work with about Secret Network and Cosmos and Atom, and I loved every minute of it. So yes, I will gladly.
We've been talking about Atom for a while, and I remember in one of our streams, I was like, this thing just it disappoints us every time we feel like it's about to break out. Like it got the smackdown, and it went on a run, man. This thing.
It did.
Real flow.
Wow.
Yeah.
It surpassed the newsletter, chart that I had put out. You know, I was thinking about this level here, and it pulled back a bit, and I was like, okay, cool, I'll buy it. You know, and then it just took off without me. You know, last Friday we talked about the short reload zone. I laughed because I was talking about how bullish I was, but the only trade there was a short. Turns out I should have taken it maybe, but you know, it's probably just time to cool off with the rest of it. But it's definitely near the top of my list. I have 0, and I would like some. I would like a fairly significant bag percentage-wise, but I don't know if I'm ready to get it yet. You know, I think same old story, right? Like, let me get that green candle on Bitcoin. Let's get the market in a certain direction, and then get on side with the trend, and Atom's at the top of my list. Well, top 5.
What are we thinking about in the NFT space? You guys think it's like
I think those guys are in agony right now. Like I haven't heard, for how long has it been since, and you guys remember this phase, like when every time you log onto Twitter, you've got some doofus posting some new awful cartoon picture, being like, you guys should mint this, it looks rare, blah, blah. I hadn't seen any of that shit. Twitter's just kind of turned into a cesspool again.
It's interesting. Some of the Solana ecosystem stuff, Metaplex obviously put Solana's NFT business, pretty much on the map, which has been really cool to see. But I think some of the things, what is it? Like the Solana monkeys now is
Soul Apes, or what are they called?
It's a
Damn
SMB.
I didn't get any Solana NFTs. They seem to be the only hot ones right now. But
Solana
that's not new for
NFTs
me.
have done relatively well. I'm kind of surprised by that because normally, if you look at these NFTs and other chains, they're just so dog shit. They don't do anything. They don't.
Which one?
Dude, but where does it go? This is what I. Sorry, Robbie. Go ahead.
Which ones are not doing anything?
Oh, look at any fucking chain that's that's not Ethereum. Look at the NFTs on Phantom, on Avalanche. Even the Solana has some fucking, absolute dog shit tier.
Dude, there are gonna be so many dog shit NFTs. It's gonna be harder to talk.
Dude, I think the biggest issue with that is with these NFTs. They're the ones that are considered like the Mona Lisas, the whole, the Grails, all of that kind of shit. They're only that way because certain people have said they are, and those people are buying NFTs on Ethereum. I feel like if there was something that was quality, on Solana, on Avalanche, and those guys, who I'm talking about, the crew says, oh, these are the Holy Grail, then, maybe they start to perform.
I would think 20th century modern art, probably a lot of the greatest artists came about because they slept with fucking Andy Warhol.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They slept with the right patron that put them on the map. And the real question I'm starting to think about with NFTs is, where does it go? Will NFTs be kind of the future form of top layer of
NFTs are great for, I think, ticketing, memberships to clubs.
Yeah.
Imagine being able to because country club memberships are really expensive, but what if you wanted your kids to be able to take golf lessons and, do all that kind of shit? So it's, we're 10 years down the road and, I buy a country club membership with an NFT and, the kids decide, hey, I fucking hate golf. And then I'm like, oh, I'm not really using anything over there. I can sell my membership now. Because I own it, it's tokenized, or, I want to go to a basketball game. So, my ticket is an NFT, and I come in and I burn that NFT, when I enter the game. Some really interesting possibilities there. In terms of all this NFT art, profile picture shit, look how just stupid that is on the screen right now. Like, can you even believe that?
Excuse me, I minted too many of these last night. There will be no
better
talk
raise
of
the
that.
rate.
There will be no
Eight
talk of my
point-
bridge apes.
Is that yours? It looks rare.
My
looks
bridge
pretty
apes
rare.
are rare, bro. I don't know what
It
you're
looks
talking
pretty
about.
rare. Look, I honestly I don't even hate to be this guy. But I am going to zero, in terms of these NFT profile picture scams. They are going to zero.
Some are going to be classics. Some will go to nothing. But I will tell you what, I am witnessing right now in real life. My 4-year-old and 6-year-old, my boys. We just had to get them these books to hold their Pokemon cards. So Pokemon is big among the youngsters, and I'm thinking.
Are you talking like old school, like plastic sleeves where you stick the cards in? And
yes, that's what I'm talking about. I'm like, you
Amongst
guys,
the youngsters, fuck this. Have you seen?
Pokemon was my gen, yeah. Like grade 4, that shit came out, and we were collecting them back in the 90s.
Analog. I mean, that's so analog to me.
it's so
I'm
analog.
telling these kids, I'm like, you guys should be there's none of that stuff on your iPad. Like, you got to have the cards and their their little.
It's just a mess. It's just a mess. It's the same thing as when Kindles and shit like that came out. And people said, why do I need a fucking 3 bookcases in my house filled with books?
And then
when I can have a Kindle and have all my books here.
I'm literally watching them with their dirty, grubby little fingers after breakfast. They're at breakfast. I'm like, you guys, if you got one that's worth anything, don't be taking it out and bending the corners. You gotta
preserve that for 20 years, kid.
But there's a real resurgence of those have become classics, in the same way that Dungeons and Dragons has become fucking huge again, and what's the big card?
Magic the Gathering.
I loved Magic the Gathering. That was just a good game too. I didn't even collect them. I just played. I mean, I collected them to have a better deck, but that was legit. Look, Parallel Alpha. I think Parallel Alpha is cooking with grease. Okay, that is my only significant holding in NFTs. So full disclosure, but they are Magic the Gathering-esque reborn. The graphics they're putting into it, the time, the thought. I've listened to their podcasts. I'm like, holy shit. When the dust settles, when these 10,000 mint, era passes, which I think it will, I think we're gonna have some, diamonds in the rough there, and that's one that I've placed my bet on purely because we saw what Magic the Gathering did and is still doing. Right? They had, full room tournaments, and I don't know how big the scale of that got, but I know people go wild for the big popular games. We're talking arenas full of people for StarCraft in Asia. There will be winners, and they've done some pretty crazy shit. So I can't write it all off, but yeah, Parallel Alpha, you just got me thinking about, because they have a drop coming in October for anyone who's not. I think October 30th. It's a big deal. The last drop. What's that?
So I've been hearing about that.
Yeah,
Parallel is interesting because they had this really strong initial performance, pumped like crazy. You had funds aping in, to the rare cards and decks,
the masterpieces
like
were 200-300 ETH, probably still are.
Crazy. The thing is, and I thought this, of course, as a salty bystander, while it was happening. There's so much. Or I'll just start with this. In terms of NFT projects, quality-wise, Parallel is unparalleled. The things that they're doing in terms of just virtualizing the whole card collection, game, and being able to, through augmented reality, see your fucking mech walk around in the real world, that you have a card of. Shit that is so fucking cool, and I feel like that is the future. Where you do have this layer on top of reality, where really anything you can dream of, can exist.
Through your phone or your Google Glass or whatever.
The thing is, though, I see all these cards just ridiculously fucking expensive and stuff, and I'm thinking okay, if this is a game, like Magic Gathering, people are trying to build the decks and stuff, and even the most pleb cards are going for, $300. Is that feasible? Does that make sense?
No, so that's an easy one. I can explain that. Basically, these are the alpha set. So this is Parallel Alpha. It's their alpha series, and so that'll be the OG cards, the collectors. When it gets down to further down series, those same cards will be available as part of a different fungible pack, essentially. So gameplay wise, they'll be pennies on the dollar. They'll just be normal cheap cards. So this is all
right
about
now.
like
These
early,
are
early
the
day.
collector cards.
Yeah.
Do you think? Have you been watching it? Like, is it time to start scooping some of these up?
So I actually haven't been watching the price action. I went and aped into a set. So like I got like a special edition, whatever it's called, 52 set, because there was like a Galaxy key you could get if you had the full set by a certain date. So I went and aped into the rest of that. The value has dropped maybe 30% from the highs. I think I'm still up like 40, 30% from the last drop because I got a lot of those cards in the drop. But I haven't looked at the charts. We could look at OpenSea. Last 3 times I've logged into OpenSea, it just didn't work. So I don't know if we'll do that on stream, but you want to look at those charts and just see, I think there will be a lot of hype into the drop on the 30th. And then I got to ask the question, like, is October 30th new pack drop? Is that supply flooding the market? Are there people that are just going to be sniping that, trying to get the quick flip? Probably yes. So how does that affect? I don't know. I'm not admittedly very good with the NFT market. Parallel Alpha is my only win. Everything else I've just minted copycats and got rinsed. But
I mean, in terms of art and stuff, like,
yeah,
as opposed to what was on your screen just 10 minutes ago, like, this shit's pretty fucking badass. Like,
it really is. You got to listen to their podcast. Like, anyone who wants to go a little step further, we won't spend the whole show on this, but if you want to go further, and just because that's what it is, right? You do your research, look into the team, find out, like, are these guys here for the hype, or were they building for however long before, and are they going to be around? And
I heard,
and I got the
founders,
distinct impression that they will be around.
I heard one of the founders is like a big ex-bigwig at like YouTube or Google or something like that.
Yeah, and their artists are some of the same guys in Blizzard that did StarCraft, Warcraft. Like,
and
they're
have
legit.
Like super legit team, pretty much infinite.
There's a lot of that happen. I mean, the guy that founded Cool Cats is, I think he was like the CTO at like Uproar or Blizzard or somewhere.
Am I not seeing something with Cool Cats? Like those look about as dog shit as they come. Like what's the hype behind?
I honestly I can't tell you because I'm not.
That Mike Tyson owns a Cool Cat and that the godfathers of NFTs said that Cool Cats are cool. So now
I think that's part of it. I don't know. Like I wonder if part of it is like where it evolves to. Like why aren't fucking CryptoKitties worth one CryptoKitty worth $1 billion right now? Like
that makes no sense. Like that's OG
of all this. Like
CryptoKitties.
Why aren't the
CryptoKitties
that
shut Ethereum down back in 2017?
Has done did 3 years ago that were fucking genius. Like
how about those Hxro?
How about the Hero Bears?
Bears, those should be.
Oh
fire.
yeah, the plasma bears.
Holy shit!
I didn't know we had an NFT.
I gotta go.
Yeah, Hxro had a special.
Do you know how many dumb things I ape into? I don't even know about our own thing.
Here's the thing that
there's probably only 100 of them that exist.
They're very rare.
Need one.
And they're cool too.
Shit.
I mean,
really cool.
these drops, and we're getting the front row seat at the Solana, Metaplex and with these drops that they're doing, and the geckos the other day, right? I mean, 10,000 units. I think it was it 2 SOL a piece?
Where do you look at Solana NFTs? Just while we're talking, I'll pull them up.
Metaplex.
What's their marketplace? Metaplex?
I think go to Solana.
It was Solanart, was it?
Okay.
And, what was the other one?
But this one was on. It was on their own website. It was the geckos. I was standing over someone's shoulder. I'm not buying this shit. I can't tell what the hell this stuff is. It's literally. I feel like I'm giving money away. But
look, I can buy a shit coin all day. It's a financial instrument. Like that clicks with me. When you show me a really really ugly like that. That's it. But you show me that and you tell me I've got to pay fucking 30 Solana for that ugly motherfucker right there in the orange. Like, fucking lost.
You'd pay 100 Solana for a Wojak Coomer though.
Yeah. Dude,
but still, either way, somebody's scamming me there. I'm paying for an ugly ass cartoon, ugly as fuck. That nobody wants. It's not desirable at all. You're telling me, that I'm gonna pay $3,000 for that? Fuck off,
dude. Somebody else. I'm sitting next to. There's Bartosz, Jerry. They're minting, and we're seeing what they're getting, and I'm just like, well, that's like the plainest gecko there is. It doesn't even look like he's like.
Looks common, bro.
So common that it's rare.
But it looks rare as fuck.
Fucking me.
And
so funny.
And then there's one that's like spaced out and with these eyes, and I'm like, that looks rare as fuck. Like, holy shit, and we were just laughing so hard because they're minting, and then 7.5 minutes sold out, 10,000 units, 2 Sol a pop, 20,000 Solana. The creators are sitting there with $3 million.
Yeah,
But
dude, even
is it a funding
paying
mechanism?
look,
Are
even
they
paying 2
planning
Solana
to
for
do
one of
anything with
those,
them?
you're
Like,
getting scammed.
or is it like what percentage of it is like part of the problem is that you're funding people, which is amazing. Like there's an opportunity for people, whatever, but you're funding something, and then like the question is that team going to be incentivized to do anything after they get that money?
Yeah, or is it like they're selling art, they're artists, they get paid, walk away. And I think a lot of them now are saying, we're going to create stuff around these, and that's the sort of like, ooh, that's where you get the value. Here's the thing I was thinking about today. I'm really glad we're talking about all these 10,000 mints, because I had this epiphany this morning that like maybe, NFTs, look, there's some beautiful art and there's some legitimate artists, and they're like one for one pieces. They will live on, and there will be a digital art collection world, I'm sure of it. But this 10,000 mint, is that going to go down in history as like a bubble era where, you had your punks and they were the 10,000 series, maybe? I could be wrong, but like you get a few of those, and then the copycat stuff comes, and then now it's just this race to auto generate. Like you said, you make your 3 mil and it takes off or it doesn't, but you have your money. And it just occurred to me, because I'm buying all these, I bought a lot of these, not making huge investments, but I'm punting little bits into them because they're fun and it's addictive and you might mint something rare. But like, does the dust settle because there's just too much saturation, there's too many 10,000 mints, and then the real art sticks around, maybe some OG 10,000 mints. But like in 2 years, do we look back and be like, LOL, remember in 2021 when there was 1,000, 10,000 mint projects all copying each other? Because it's gamified and it's program
like
scarcity.
scratch-offs, man.
Well, yeah, it's program scarcity, right? So you have 10,000 and you don't know what's rare until you find the certain one trait. But is it good art, or is it just a way for us to create value systems out of them, right?
I think there is an incentive right now for people, for good artists, for people. Like, it had me thinking, honestly, I'm like doing the math. 10,000, 2 Solana, I'm like $3 million. What do you need to do to get a drop? Like, that's just, it's $3 million. It's real liquidity. It's $3 million of Solana, like, which probably in years is going to be way more than that. Like, what do you need to do this? So I think there's going to be a lot more of this rush, and there's going to be dog shit. There's going to be some that win and do a lot with the community. I love the ones that are going to be worked into even more games or stuff like that.
I think that's the real conversation that's going to happen next. Like this is going to fade out, right?
Yeah.
There'll be
It's
some
like the
peak
silly
moment
ones.
where everybody,
Yeah.
like, has anybody done a drop yet where it's just like a blank black screen, like the equivalent of like a John Gage musical piece that's just like air, like it. That's kind of like
I've seen that. I think at the top, people were paying thousands of dollars for like a JPEG that was just a blank white screen, like just fucking
like one pixel on it. I mean, I've always had that, even as a kid with art, right? You go to the art gallery for a school trip and there's like this red and yellow squares on a page, and I was like, what? And they're like, yeah, that sold for 17 million. I've always had that issue, but this gamified 10,000 mint thing, I think, is interesting as a case study. And as I opened up my AVAX Bridge Apes last night and I realized I was looking for traits, if they didn't give you the traits and their rarities, no one would have a fucking clue how to value them. They would essentially be worthless versus each other, because like, which one's more than the other? They have to have commons, rares, mystics, and then it just turns into a trading game. So I think that whole thing falls flat eventually, and the ones that win are either the first, which is why I keep betting on these early AVAX ones, because I'm like, hey, if AVAX turns out to be huge. I mean, look, punks came out in what, 2017? Nobody gave a fuck. Forever. Nobody gave a fuck. It was 3 years. People are like, oh, you're so lucky you had punks.
And like the other ones that didn't.
Yeah.
Like that
yeah. Who chose or yeah. Who knows, right?
I think Ethereum is, like punks are a lot of like OG, like, Ethereum guys. Ethereum Yeah, not influencers, but the right people.
And they've been
had these, and they said that,
and they're
hey,
in markets are reflected.
Well, and I've got calls from high net worth dudes that are like, hey, on the side note, like we're talking about some other thing, and then like they're like, oh, and like I was thinking about getting a punk lately. Like, which one should I get? Can you help me navigate that? I'm like, I have no idea. But these are guys who are like, I want to spend $2 million on these just to get a piece of it. Like they've broken through, I think, the meme barrier to a point where they'll probably be around to some extent. But look, I pulled up Mystic Peppers because this is one that I got into because it's gaming, right? They're like, we're going to make a game and you can use these characters, you can rent these characters, play to earn, blah, blah, blah. I actually own the most rare one. Okay. That's why I'm bringing it up. Somebody said, Mystic Peppers, nobody cares. There's no bid. I'm sad. But this is the first mint I ever did. And I put it in the Discord. They're like, dude, like you just minted the rarest one in the world. And
man, I can't believe nobody's giving you $100,000.
And somebody offered me like half an ETH for it. I was insulted. So I'm waiting for the day that this has a game. They still are working on it. That'd be really cool. But I just wanted to put that out there. I have one rare thing.
Look at that.
Nobody wants it.
Dude,
those bitches are ugly.
Fuck me. I know.
Look at the advertisement in the column. It's like tweaking me. I kind of want to click on it. It's like, look at what they're doing on there. I mean, we
Pork
are
1984. Looks rare. Looks rare.
Pork 1984.
Organic growth.
Pork
mint
pigs.
now.
Mint now.
2 free NFTs. Mint now.
that shit. This is
like ICO 2017, right? Where you just get this massive, like the first few do well, the next copycats do well, but then you just get this insane, saturation of it, and they all fall flat, and then we just see which ones come back. There's a lot from 2017 that is doing very well right now.
Dude,
but most didn't come back.
This is kind of that one of those peak signs for me is I'm going out of town next week with some friends, and one of the guys that's coming, I told them some of my crypto guys are coming out on this trip, and he's like, great, because I have this. Now this guy's an accountant. He's like, I have this client that just told me about this really cool NFT like he was talking about it like it was something new, and he wanted to pitch it, and I said, you know what, if there's no business talk on this trip, like you cannot pitch anybody that is coming out.
Like, bro, don't come to this trip and talk about fucking JPEGs. Like, to be honest, I would rather have somebody pull out all of my fingernails and toenails than me spend a significant sum of money on a crypto punk.
Well, dude, the artists are all about it, man. I mean, artists think like they and the overall picture is you can't like this. There is going to be value here,
100%.
But it's a matter of how are you going to capture it. Bottom line, I'd like to be a advisor on the Riley Reid drop and come up with
oh fuck, you're gonna make me mint.
Oh my god, how about she does a drop and
you're gonna make me mint.
Dude,
Robin, ever since you heard about Riley Reid the first time, it's a bit suspicious you haven't stopped talking about her. I'm curious how deep your research.
It's not deep at all. It's very shallow, actually.
She seems to be living rent free. You know it.
Well, she's living rent free because she lived rent free for so long, looking at your memes, and I just got such a kick out of it, and I never ever. So yeah, it's so crazy. But I think let's get creative. I think there's some drops that can be done that let's take advantage of the disposable income out there. People will be paying up for some of that shit, and I'd like to see that the models that are determining how rare some of those are.
Hey, just a quick disclaimer, guys. There's a lot of guys in the chat. I think I'm getting the vibe that it sounds like we're just here to shit all over NFTs. We're not. Look, this is market analysis. This is objective observations, admittedly from a group of 4 guys who didn't really crush the NFT game this year, which is fine.
I don't care. It's not
this could be captioned as like guys who don't really know much about NFTs sharing their thoughts on NFTs. So just in case we're unclear, nobody here is attacking anything. I bought a fuckload of these last night. I just haven't seen any returns, and I know as an analyst, I'm speaking purely on like curiosity. Like, where are we going to be in 2 years? I don't know.
Discuss honestly, I don't give a fuck of how much these things are worth or not. Like, I want to know where everybody thinks this is going.
Yeah.
Like this to me is what's happening right now is noise. This is like speculative noise. This is like Bitcoin 2011 to 2014.
It's early.
Right? Like everything in tech has a cycle. It happens to be anything crypto related is like crazy speculation. People make a lot of money and then it absolutely craters, right? And then once it craters, suddenly everyone's in it for the tech. And then once all that dust and noise clears, the people that are actually like kind of the tortoises in it are there to talk about like, this is how this gets used. The nice thing with NFTs that I see is a couple of things. One is that like you have these like AAA gaming studios and you have like real corporations, real professional sports. It's pervasive into the real world already. It is a real bridge and it's happening. And like what I'm more interested in is because I don't give a fuck if somebody paid 1,000 or 2,000 Solana for it or $1,000, $3 million for an NFT. They can afford it. God bless them, right? This is just like art to me. But there's another.
This one is. I love this one.
Where the fuck does this go? Like, does this bridge the metaverse? Like, are these things actually going to get used? One thing that like I've talked with a really smart guy about is like, you think about, and I believe this is like, if you think about how the relationship of NFTs to token evolves, is like tokens will end up like being the underlayer, and like tokens will be the B2B that will like, like you have Hero Network and you have Serum, and like their tokens are like those tokens are being used by each one to basically to work with each other. And then at the above layer, like kind of the transactional currency becomes really NFTs. And like that's one interesting way to think about it. And I'm very curious to see, like for us right now, everybody's so early and there's noise and there's a little bit of money being made, great, but like where does this go in 3 years? Well, you want to get in on the things of like get ahead of it now.
Where will be,
because there's we were seeing this 3 years ago. Like you guys, everyone was talking about Magic the Gathering making like a huge comeback. Like I remember 3 years ago being at Consensus at the Distributed Global Loft, like giving a talk on Hxro, and like right before us was this project called Foam. And this guy got up who was like one of the world's greatest Magic the Gathering card players. And like, he got up and gave a speech. And sure enough, like I'm seeing this like consistent 3-year cycle. And like, it's good to see what's here now to plant seeds for the future. And like, who's getting in front of that?
The bottom line is NFTs right now are real, tangible network transactional value. And it's trade, and it is exchanging. And it's the same way as decentralized exchange, like Uniswap was what was driving gas prices. NFTs it is all happening on chain. That's the beauty of it. So, the value, the bottom line is the big pie is going to be growing, which just means more transaction value on chain. And that is inherently bullish.
Right.
Doesn't mean that these things are all like these NFTs that can support all these mints and they're all going to be 100 Sol and 200 Sol and all this Ethereum. The bottom line is there's going to be more and more stuff being exchanged on chain. And that's the boon here to me. I mean,
I think that you'd be crazy not to call what we saw this summer a mania. I mean, it just was. People who don't know crypto, don't do anything, like the public was here very much. And like you said, Dan, that's a good thing ultimately for crypto. And what you're going to see, as you do with every kind of mania, is saturation and copycats and really just bad players coming in and saying, well, hey, look, guys, we could whip this up. And like any ICO, any white paper in 2017 could raise 30 million in 20 seconds. And we saw a lot of that at the end of the year. And it was really gross, right? And you just had like absolute scamming exits. And so you're going to get that when people are just drawn to mania. And it's a matter of, what happens when the dust settles. I think right now my only play for lack of any real NFT alpha is to look onto a chain I love, which is AVAX. And I picked up their AVAX apes. I picked up some of these like AVAX bridge apes because, they were cheap and I just minted some. But does the chain take off in 3 or 4 years and we have another kind of rise from the ashes of NFTs? And they're like, hey, look at those OG ones from back in 2021. That's my hope. That's my hopium. But I'm not trying to flip them this year. I think I missed the good part of that bubble. But gaming, I think, is the no-brainer for me. You know, can you fit those NFTs into game items? Thinking about Counter-Strike, you know, CSGO, the knife skins that everyone likes to talk about, 200K, whatever they were. You know, if you can build a game and a community around something that has staying power, then the items within that, the skins, whatever you want to call them, they're probably going to stick around, depending on, you know, who knows exactly what they'll be valued at.
I'm all for the speculative period, but I think everybody needs to like go into this with their eyes open and know that this is not up and to the right. Like this market is getting saturated.
Yeah.
Things are going to get hurt. It's like exactly like Messi said, these are ultimately like, they're lottery, like be prepared to hold it because you like it. And like,
yeah, you better like that ape.
Or like there's certain ones that if you want to get in the speculative game, like you're speculating and there's a risk that you're going to eat a lot of pipe, you know, if this thing gets saturated. And so nobody wants it. So like the real question I think should be for people like is, where does this go? Am I getting into this? Like, if you're getting to speculate, then guess what? Like life in the NFL, if it goes bad, that's it. You gotta fucking deal with it and take your pipe. But like, if it goes well, then great for you. But also like, there's this aspect of it that actually is like very transformative. And I think it gets lost. Like we talk about it and then 3 minutes later, go back to like talking about like buying ones and selling fives again. Like, fuck that, man. Like there's actually like something really going on here. Like let's embrace what that is instead of talking about the price all the time. That's all.
Yep.
Yeah. The usage. Well, that's what's going to see, you know, like utility tokens in 2017 and perhaps governance tokens. You know, I think some governance tokens are very valuable right now and they will remain valuable because the networks that they govern are valuable. But there's a lot of BS tokens coming out that are like, it's a governance token for a network that just, it's like an app or something like it.
Right.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what though, if I'm a dude and I've missed the NFT thing, I've just flat out been too focused on the other, you know, the derivatives part of the cryptoverse. But I'll tell you, rolling up, if I had a dope ape or punk or whatever, and I was in VR with a bunch of people and I rolled up in my fucking ape suit, you know, with my, like, that's worth the dough for me. If I'm the dude in my, like, that one.
This is my profile picture right now. I've adopted it. I said, you know, I'm an AVAX ape. This is like the rarest, cool looking one I could find.
Is he chewing cot?
He's chewing. Go fuck yourself. No, I don't know. He's rare. Okay, no, he's.
I like
it's
AVAX
mint.
too.
It's a mint leaf.
I love AVAX too, but I'm gonna go with a different ape.
It looks like a cocaine leaf to me.
It could be cocoa.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say it's cot. It's like that shit that they eat in like Somalia to like keep.
The from Captain. What was that? Captain Phillips is that
Why is he
movie.
bandaged up?
Chot. He's a mummy. Okay, he's a mummy with a helmet, hard eyes, and a mint thing with
He's
cocoa.
wrecked. Had too many shit coins.
He's one of my cooler ones, anyways. But you know, that's the first time where I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go. You know, I'm gonna use my profile picture for my AVAX ape. I don't know.
I mean, I'm rolling up in VR with my NFT, and I'm rolling everywhere. But look at
Axis Infinity. My hot take on Axis Infinity is it was a great run, and it's going to get diluted by the other 200, 400, 500 play-to-earn plays that are going to come out and early on have better incentives than this, and that strict I'm here to make money crowd is going to switch to the latest one.
Are you finally going to make some money on an AXS short?
I might here. We're actually at an entry now. See, I talked about it here.
It looks good for entry.
I talked about it here, and I didn't have a good entry, and then it dipped, and now it's in. Yeah, I might actually. You know,
with this daily candle and that bearish retest.
I'll be honest.
SPRZ,
you got to know who you are in life, and I just suck at shorting. I'm such a bull in the market, and it's hard. I suck at it. Like ADA. Look, we talked about shorting ADA for 7 months. I said when it happens, I'll be ready.
What's that chart looking like?
This is ADA. Look, this is ADA, and it did happen. So this is when their contracts went live right here, and it rolled over because everyone was like, holy shit, UTXO or whatever, they could only do like one Uniswap transaction at a time per block. And
bad,
everyone, everyone was like, oh, this is terrible. And I thought, damn, this is the time. And
even then, Cardano's outdated technology. I think finality on Cardano is like 6 minutes or something like that.
It's just not good. And so they went live, and we talked about this all spring, so I can claim some clout as an analyst, but as a trader, I sucked at shorting. I didn't do it. But I said, once those smart contracts go live, let's assume sell the news. They happened to come out and be bad, which helped. And it was hovering here at 191, and I said, or 291, and I just said, and I actually did have a tiny short on, and then I looked at the lick price. I was like, I'll just wait. And then like a day later, it was this, and now it's just...
I'd love to see.
I know. I would have
market cap bleed off into Avalanche.
Kicking myself, but I also just don't expect myself to catch the good shorts. But
does ADA bite it because also like so much of their token supply is arguably owned by like mainland Chinese farmers that are have been victim to Ponzi schemes in China. Like,
are they? I didn't know that about the holder profile.
Yeah, there's a whole like
public for sure. It's a public favorite, right? So you got to figure it's an uptrend only kind of hand, and there's probably a steep, there's probably some sellers in there. Obviously, after this, I think it's going to go to $1. I do. I think it's gonna sweep all of these lows before any new highs, and so that's like it's a good short that I'm not in, but there you have it. I suck at shorting. It's hard to do. I'd rather go find something I like and long it. I'm not like that GarageBand fund from The Big Short that was really good at doing the opposite, and that's why it was so good for them, because I loved their thesis, right? People love to think things will go well. They're optimists, and so it's easier to spot over exuberance than it is to spot the opposite. So they would just go short things that just were being way overbid.
I've never...
ADA was... What's that?
I've never been able to short in crypto.
Well, I feel less bad now because I respect you as a trader.
Kind of like pocket of being successful as a trader, like materially was actually the back end of like the whole tech boom bust, and like actually like all I would do was short stocks, and so my whole thing, I was so biased to shorting stocks for so long, and then it actually kept me from like being long stocks
at the dip after that bubble.
And like in post 2008 and all, like I can't think about, and with Bitcoin, it's like and with just in crypto in general, like I feel kind of like what you're saying, but there's so many opportunities of new things developing. Like we're still so early at the end of the day that like,
like I'd almost go and research something on the AVAX ecosystem that just launched this week rather than go short like the overbought Cardano thing post launch. But as a trader, like, look, scalps, get into that 15-minute chart. Long short, don't care, because you're not really making a directional bet as much as just trading the noise based on fibs. But yeah, when it comes to like midterm swings, I'm terrible at holding onto shorts. Either way, yeah, you heard it here first. I think Cardano is going to be at $1 eventually before this cleans up, but that's just my 2 cents. I don't know what's going to happen.
I think it's going to go down too. It's interesting because what language are Cardano's smart contracts? Does anyone know?
Not Rust. I don't know which one they are actually. We could just Google that. Yeah. I asked you last week about Orca.
Did you guys see the picture of?
Whoa!
It's Haskell.
Did you see Charles on the
DJ booth? Yeah, I did. I thought that was funny. Actually, I think somebody made a comment about that. I think it was one of you two, actually, maybe Messi. Something, nope, not going to try to requote it. I forget what it was, but it was a great.
Orca's the new 3AC bag, I think.
I got wind of it. I got wind of it in my DMs from like 3 or 4 different people this day, and I kind of looked. I was like, fuck, like all the apes are into it, the breakout candle, and I said to myself like $6.50, $7, and then it wicked, and then I realized on Soul Ape I can actually set limit orders, so I kind of missed that up. I called you that day, Rob, or I messaged you. I said, what do you know about Orca? What do you think about it? And you had been talking about it that day too, but had no real conclusion. It's consolidating at 15. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of want don't overthink it. Maybe just get a little bag or something just to get it on the books as like a potential competitor to Radium and Solana AMM space. I mean, I don't know.
You know, I was thinking, so considering, Cardano's smart contract language is Haskell or however you pronounce it, I think they may run into similar issues as platforms like Tezos, that uses OCaml. When you use these really exotic programming languages, it puts a huge barrier to entry on development. And even, with Rust and Solana, you don't see as much of that, but it definitely exists. If you don't have deep enough pockets and, the wherewithal to get the right guys in who can actually build that out, I mean, who the fuck is going to come, program something in Haskell and OCaml? It just makes no fucking sense. For a while, people were trying to create these platforms to where, you could write contracts in Python, to where you could write contracts in JavaScript. The idea being that, hey, let's open this up to as many devs as possible and they'll come build. But at the end of the day, I always kind of revert back to the operating systems argument. And that is, why do people develop programs and games and shit for Windows and Mac OS? Well, that's where all the users are. As a developer, you don't want to make a product and deploy it somewhere where there's no users.
Yeah.
So, for the at least for the near term, until these other things get more popular, I think that there's definite network effects with things like, just EVM, bare bones Solidity. And then also Solana has managed to kind of transcend that, get quite a large user base.
With Rust. And I think Secret is built on Rust as well. I don't know about all of Cosmos, but I think I heard that today.
Rust? No, Cosmos is interesting. And really the thing is, with all these alternate layer ones, because I am of the mind that Ethereum loses some of its network effect, in the coming years, especially as DeFi starts to become more commercialized. Because, when you can have a much better experience and DeFi is really just acting as a back end, for something, some kind of retail portal. Things like Solana and Avalanche just make much more sense. I can't see any big product, with huge retail access being built with an Ethereum backend, with the fees, with the transaction speeds, just makes zero fucking sense.
I mean, Daniel, you hit the nail on the head. Like that is,
well, that's like legit, Ethereum losing
B2C
network effects, and it really just kind of relegates Ethereum to this kind of banking layer, to where you can have like a really secure environment for borrowing and lending, very large amounts. But in terms of pure, DeFi, the whole experience, it makes no fucking sense. You can't trade on Ethereum. You can't do anything that requires any kind of velocity on your transaction. Now the interesting thing is, Avalanche, of course, had a really, really easy launch because they benefited from all of this Ethereum development that had already occurred. The only thing Avalanche had to worry about was bridging people over. They don't have to worry about onboarding at all because people are already familiar with the experience. And then you look at Solana, where Solana has to bridge and onboard people. It's a little bit more difficult, but they've done a really, really good job with the onboarding process. But it makes me wonder, when we do talk about Polkadot, when we talk about Cosmos, and of course, Polkadot through Parachains is going to be running EVM. You've got things like Moonriver. You've got that same issue that Solana faced, but you don't have nearly the level of exposure to the community, funding. I just maybe Atom, Cosmos is the best technology in the world, but at the end of the day, you've got to bridge people over, and you have to onboard them to a totally new experience. And it just adds another layer of complexity to actually getting your platform to the point where there's enough users to where developers actually want to come and build it out.
I got an alpha leak for you.
Leak it.
I don't think it's a secret. Certainly no. It's public. Monero will be opening a bridge to Secret Network in something like early October, which would be the first time that privacy currency, Monero, obviously those of you who haven't heard of it, XMR, it's pretty big. And it's going to be playing in DeFi on Secret Network sometime early October. And then in that same conversation, apparently Bitcoin is going to bridge into Cosmos or perhaps Secret as well, and how that will all proliferate. But you guys know I've been pretty bullish on Secret here. That's not the chart that I wanted to show though, but yeah, that's two things I heard on the call
technology.
today.
You know, I'm disappointed because, you know, I was a big Enigma fan, you know, for a while, and you know, I was excited
me too.
about Secret Network.
You were getting active with Tor and that whole.
It's the thing is like, you know, initially, like I was excited, like, oh, you know, we're gonna, you know, move to this new chain, you know, that's this news event, that's something cool, and I definitely think Secret has a lot of room to run. We're talking about a you know, A-grade development team working on an amazing product for a long time. The issue though is that, you know, they're on Cosmos, so it doesn't matter how great, you know, your product is. It's in a future where there are, you know, 10 different layer ones now. You know what? I'm 100% a believer in a multi-chain future, but I am curious, you know, to where, like, does a multi-chain future mean we have 10 different layer ones, or does it mean that we have 2 different alternate layer ones, or 3?
I think there'll be a lot to start, right? Because you can't really have that end game until you sift through the trash and see who really sticks.
Jose, at the end of the day, you know, when you have something like Avalanche, you know, which is literally like the best possible experience for EVM you can get, you know, why would you want to go do EVM on Polkadot? You know, it just doesn't get much better than what we already have in terms of scalability, transactional speed, you know, et cetera.
I think I have to move. I think I have to move my secret, my support line to align with my bias here. One sec.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, move that line down so it bounces.
Yeah, need to make it still on support. See, no, it's still relevant. There's resistance, support.
I like that chart.
This is Secret versus ETH, and I think it's a really strong visual for maybe what could be happening over on Secret Network. Look, I'm confused as you guys are. Like, it's been great as an idea. You know, got guys from MIT. I'm not a dev. I haven't dug into the dev docs. But I just keep hearing great things on the tech front, and then you go to Binance, where Secret's been trading, and there's no volume, there's no liquidity. So I'm confused, like, who puts that ADA volume in the market, and do none of them think Secret's cool, or whatever other coin you want to pick that has high volume and perhaps less good tech? So I'm curious, but like, I love this chart. So if I was holding ETH, I don't really have any ETH for a while now, but you know, I would probably trade some of it to Secret. I've just been kind of buying Secret on the side, like averaging in a bit, moving it to Kepler, staking it. Like, I like it. I'm building a position similar to my ID bag, just kind of a long-term thesis play.
Cosmos at all?
Just in the Kepler wallet. You know, I've moved in and out. I actually haven't gone to, you know, see what's built on there to like do DeFi or anything yet. But actually today I resolved, after that call earlier that I said about the Monero thing, after that call I said, you know, it's time I just read the docs and get to the site and find a platform and actually get into it, because I'm into it. I like it. I better friggin' learn how to use it so I can not be a total LARP about it. It'd be nice to see for myself, you know. Maybe it's slow and expensive. I actually don't know. So, but yeah, you see what I see, right, Dan? Like, this just looks.
Oh yeah.
This, you know, this is the polar opposite of buying an NFT right now, right? And I'm really comfortable, like much more comfortable buying down markets, shit things, quiet things. Like you said, where are we going to be in 3 years? Well, I think DeFi is going to be huge, and I think privacy on top of it's going to be the end game. So I'm betting on this being it. Having said that, for the record, I'm only like 3% exposed. It's not like, you know, not a massive bet. So don't anyone think that.
I love their founder. Tor's
legit, yeah.
Tor's legit, very legit. You know, all those guys are, you know, not ex MIT, but they're, you know, MIT grads, super big brain. You know,
what was the project prior?
Enigma, baby.
Enigma.
It's just a rebrand. It's not a prior.
Like, you know, I think the whole rebrand was part of, you know, they had to settle with the SEC.
Yeah.
And all this stuff.
Something about their ICO, yeah.
Talking about rebrand, how about DeSo, Decentralized Social?
Yeah, got it right here.
Got a big boner from that one.
Big clout turned DeSo. Really good interview, actually. I'll go find it and we'll post it in the chat if anyone wants to watch it. It was Nader, right? Is that his name?
Yeah.
He's come out of the dark now. He's forward facing. He says, this is the project we've been working on. And I think it's completely pivoted, perhaps, the optics of the project, and he said, BitClout was really just their sort of pilot sandbox. Let's see if this blockchain even works. And DeSo is much bigger than that, so it's an exciting moment for us.
They have $200 million they're sitting on. Some of their larger early investors I know are starting like a Dapper Labs kind of offshoot for it, like to basically get build teams of developers to build to it.
Yeah,
which is really what it's meant for. And I think we'll see what happens with it.
I'll tell you what, I'm still I'm really pleased with the rebrand, because decentralized social, I mean, if we think about it in reality, like what DeFi has done, right? I mean, finance, obviously, so much transactional activity going on. So DeFi, the bounds are limitless. But when we talk about DeSo, decentralized social and what it represents, it's like everybody, with a phone is doing it. So I think there's going to be, this race in social that the value there, it's pretty limitless. And I think it's going to be years and years of decentralized social really advancing. And I think there's, I think they're a leader. So also the token economics, it's one of the only things that's this young, that there's like 10.8 million tokens out there, and that's it.
And there's already 10.5 circulating. So, whereas your inflation is not there.
It's not there. That's powerful in token mechanics. I mean, if we want to look at it black and white, extremely powerful. I like that. And this thing's only trading on blockchain.com right now. I think it
moved over to that other one, Ascendex, which was whatever was BitMax.
But bottom line is, early investors are Coinbase Ventures, are Huobi, whatever. This thing is going to get distribution and liquidity, and then I think it's lookout.
Have you guys seen Wumbo yet?
Wumbo I went from 6 to midnight on Wumbo because it's on Solana, and it's like an extension into Twitter. I'm really impressed with the Wumbo guys. And
RT, can you pull up wum.bo?
Okay. Yeah, the stacked guys, wm.bo.
No, not in the chat. Put it up, like visit the site.
Yeah, no, I always do the sites on the side in case there's pop-ups like of passwords that I just like to air out on the stream. Never happened, but it won't now. Okay.
So you download it, like it's very similar to has like a lolly vibe to it. So you download it to your as a Chrome extension, and then it basically ties into your Twitter account, and it's got similar type of like BitClout concept, where every Twitter account can have its own token. Like you have your own token tied to your Twitter account, and then there's a market on you. And when you have this app up, like under Alan here, let's say, like Alan you'll see something like a little widget that says 50 cents or $1 or whatever he's worth. And then if you want to buy Alan, you click, there it is right there. So that's for Sam.
So I saw these guys talking about it the other day, our buddies over at Stacked, and I thought that was interesting. I haven't gone to it yet, obviously, but you're saying I should if I want to like make another bet in the eco? Are these creator coins going wild right now, or have you been?
They're not going wild, but they're getting. I mean, they got a few thousand like.
I'll tell you what, 69 cents is a price that is much more attractive. One thing I said on BitClout right from the get-go is like Ariana Grande at 22K is not very sexy to a fan that wants to go and buy one of her coins. Like, it just wasn't good token economics on creator coins. They needed to be dirt cheap so you could buy 10,000 of them. Sounds like these guys have fixed that at 69 cents.
I like their bonding curve mechanics. I think these the founders are really bright guys, really really sharp. Met them in
Okay.
person, been with them. I think they're looking at things the right way. I think they're long term.
I'm gonna go buy Rob Levy coin and Hero BTC and Messiah.
That'd
So
be dope.
there you go.
I haven't even. Yeah. No, I mean we're.
I think Messiah's got to set it up and just use his symbol as poop. I don't think anybody's done the poop token yet.
So we talked a lot of shit about NFTs earlier, and I know we probably need to be wrapping the stream up pretty soon.
Yeah.
But I did want to say one thing that I just saw on Twitter that I think could solidify, some of the value for things like punks and these high value NFTs. And this is a Twitter post from like the head of marketing at Twitter. They're actually working on NFT profile integration with Twitter to where when you go select your your profile picture, right, your avatar, you have the ability to set it as a photo, or you can choose your NFTs. And you'll connect to your Web3 wallet, and you can actually select an NFT and display it, and it'll show that it is an NFT, and you own that. I do think that in the event that occurs, that will add some staying power to things like punks and things like that, because now not only do I have a punk avatar on Twitter, but it's got that little Ethereum, circle over to the side that shows that, hey, I'm not a LARP.
Yeah,
fucking own this
verification of ownership.
shit. I think that's pretty cool. That's something that I'm looking forward to seeing.
Damn, Woo looks good. Somebody just brought this up in the chat as we do.
We just caught a fat bid.
Yeah, we do need to wrap, but it's always nice to take a few good ideas out of the crowd because you guys bring the heat. And Woo, I noticed this week actually as it was breaking out, I thought, damn, because of DYDX and then Uniswap and Sushi, like the decentralized exchanges are getting a bid, and this one kind of fits the bill there. I don't know exactly.
It has
It's
something
more
to do
like
with the fact that they
liquidity
were
network.
liquidity providing to into DYDX or something, right?
Oh, okay, that might be it, but it's
Woo
clearly
is
on that
interesting,
hype train.
yeah.
So this is interesting, right? I mean, this is everything you look for. You want to find something that's bullish, consolidates, breaks out on volume. I like this. I might.
Where do we buy
Woo's
that?
got that cult community too.
Yeah.
It's on Dex.
It's
just
on
rush out of
Uniswap.
1inch.
Yeah,
I will say this. So
1inch
Alpha,
just blocked US, I think, didn't they?
did they?
I heard that today. Yeah,
Did they do it today?
like this morning or something. I didn't see news about it, but someone was saying like, "Well, RIP my 1inch."
Hold on then.
Yeah.
I haven't. I feel like I used 1inch like yesterday.
Could be literally this morning. Rob's not gonna miss it, I guess.
That's not even true. Like I'm on 1inch right now, and
Is it okay?
yeah, it's not even fucking true.
Okay, so somebody then is just talking shit, and I'm now spreading it.
No,
Thanks.
I got a screenshot. I think I no.
Did you?
I saw it on Twitter.
Yeah, that's what I saw. Maybe that or Telegram. I don't know. Somebody was complaining about it. Either way, you can buy this on Dex, Rob. This is not like everyone go buy Woo because
You know what? Okay.
I
So
haven't
it
bought it
says,
yet.
I just tried to swap, and it says, it looks like you're trying to use a 1inch DApp from a restricted territory or using a VPN that shows your location as a restricted territory. We respect your privacy, but please change your VPN settings to correspond with your real location.
So they're scouting clearly for the US, I would imagine.
That's quite interesting. I am wondering. So I had some standing limit orders. Let's see if those are still up, and let's see if I can set a limit order still. Yeah, it's not going to let me set a limit order. It does look like that the ones that I have already established could be good to go, but we'll see. So the alpha drop. My last thing, I really want to say on this stream. If you guys have heard of Paraswap, it's a really, really, really good DEX aggregator. Very similar to 1inch. They're cross-chain. If you guys have been using, fucking around with Avalanche or anything like that, Paraswap does have Avalanche, which is really nice. But use Paraswap whenever you can. I've heard whispers that there may be an airdrop similar to 1inch, and it is a really good product. So especially if you're a US person, you just got locked out of 1inch, you can't use that to aggregate your trades anymore. Check out Paraswap. I think it's a good alternative, and maybe just through using it, doing what you would have done anyway, but through Paraswap, you could get a bit of free money.
Okay.
Dope.
That's Paraswap. Paraswap.
What,
I love that
chain,
stuff.
What chain is that on? What chain?
Paraswap is multi-chain. You know, they
Probably
do
based on
Ethereum,
ETH, and then they do
Avalanche.
everything else. Yeah.
Yeah, they do all sorts of stuff. Somebody has just asked me, do I think Spell can flip Maker? Some interesting statistics about Spell. You know, something we've talked about on this stream really since the bottom. Spell is now or MIM, Magic Internet Money, is now the #2 stablecoin by distribution with over 1 billion issued. There's over 1 billion TVL on Spell, which is just fucking nuts. And according to Daniel, he posted on Twitter today. That's the main. That's the guy. He's the dude.
The man.
We would actually Spell would be abracadabra would be net profitable even with emissions at 2.5 billion TVL or something like that, which is not too far away from where we are right now.
At 1% interest that they charge.
Another thing that's interesting is that if they reduced emissions by 30%, which is something that they consider, it would be net profitable at 1.8 billion in TVL, which is something that very, very few DeFi protocols accomplish. Most of the times, and this is something that we talked about with Sushi for a while. You've got all these VCs, jacking each other off about, look at the PS ratio, look at the PE rate. Sushi looks so good. The metrics are so good. But the reality, if you really take a deep dive into it, yeah, they are making all this revenue, but in exchange for all that revenue, they're issuing a shit ton of tokens. So at the end of the day, if you're still, net negative revenue, are you really valuable at all? I think the answer to that is no.
Which is fine as long as we're in a bullish speculative market, right? But as soon as the speculation wave exits, you fall down on fundamentals.
Then those emissions just become sell pressure. You don't have the income required to offset that, and that's when your token retraces 80%.
Yeah. No, Spell is one of my Spell and Ice. Like we talked about them on stream last week. We talked about them on Friday. I just really like both of them. I love the multi-chain
a strong
future.
Performer for sure, and I think. One of the things I really like seeing, because, is it nice that I'm 10x on it? Yeah. I love that. But one of the really nice things, whenever you do see something that's 10x, something that's performed really well like that, is to see that actual growth in the protocol that coincides with, the price appreciation. When we were talking about Spell, months ago, I think we were looking at something with maybe 30 or 40 million TVL. And now we're looking at a 10x in price, and TVL has, gone 20, 30x from there, which is fantastic.
Speaking of TVL, what's going on with Phantom? That thing I saw.
Phantom's a badass chain. I do think that, in terms of, because like I was saying earlier, when we're talking about EVM DeFi,
Oh shoot! I switched to the wrong shot. Sorry, guys.
But if we do live in this reality, where we do have a multi-chain future, and we do have an environment to do EVM and unleash the full fucking capacity of EVM, in a secure, scalable, decentralized environment, why do you need other things that are great too, but not as good? So I am curious, just in terms of long-term viability, where things like Phantom end up when you do have like god tier technology, relative to Phantom that exists today. Is this just a more similar to BSC, a pop-up shitcoin casino? We're in a bull market, everything's great, so the number go up, or is this something that's also going to have legs long term? Once again, it's in this multi-chain future. Does it end up consolidating to a couple of chains that can just handle the fucking load? Why would we fragment liquidity further than it needs to be fragmented? Why would we destroy composability any more so than it needs to be? Or do you end up in this multi-chain future where you have, fucking 10 different L1s and there's a little bit of shit on all of them? Like, I just don't know. I feel like everything kind of consolidates to the kings.
Who are the kings, Messi?
The king of EVM DeFi, hands down, is Avalanche. I think, and this is interesting. I've never, ever seen anybody be able to do this or put themselves in this position. In terms of challenging Ethereum, we've had this EVM experience kind of unlocked a bit. Our first taste of it, what EVM can be, was Binance Smart Chain. But Binance Smart Chain isn't sustainable. It's not long-term viable. And in terms of competing with Ethereum on a longer time frame, no fucking way. I mean, there's just no fucking way. It's centralized. It's garbage. Shit was breaking with the load it had earlier this year. So now we're kind of in the situation where, okay, we've seen that EVM DeFi can be a really, really good experience when it's fast, when it's cheap. How do we scale that? Looking out 3, 4, 5 years down the road, like, I think that Avalanche can really capture a lot of that EVM market share, especially for these applications that require high throughput, fast settlement. If we're talking about competing with a financial network like Visa, even, or things like that, and doing real DeFi on an industrial scale, bringing DeFi to retail, Robinhood's using this as a back end for whatever. You have to have that super, super fast finality. This is something that really hasn't existed until now. So it'll be interesting because the whole thesis on Ethereum is just kind of falling apart, because let's say, I've used Arbitrum, and it's fast, but at the end of the day, it's got 7-day finality. We're looking at Ethereum having, 3 or 4 different brands of layer 2s that pop up. You fragment liquidity, you fragment composability. It just kind of breaks the whole thing. It's kind of like you have that shitty car, and you keep dumping money into it. Well, I'm going to put a new turbo on it. I'm going to, put a new air intake on it. I'm going to get exhaust, I'm going to get straight pipes. I'm
Your
gonna,
93 Supra.
Yeah, I'm going to do all this shit, and look, you can build it out and you can make it great, but at the end of the day, it's still not a Ferrari or a Lamborghini, and it never will be. It's just kind of thrown together. And that's kind of the future I see for Ethereum. The issue is that Ethereum got too big, and now that they're having to take into account the current state of the network, the money locked there, the users, all of that kind of shit, and they're having to create solutions that preserves that state. Whereas you've got somebody like Avalanche that said, hey, Emin Gunsur, like, I've been fucking building blockchains like as long as Satoshi has, and learning all of these lessons from these other platforms and things. I'm going to create something that does this and scales and is secure and is fast. Like, they got to build that shit from the ground up, with all of those lessons learned. It's very difficult for me to believe that in terms of technology, in terms of performance, in terms of anything really, that anything that gets cooked up on Ethereum side is ever going to be able to compete with that. And for the longest time, people were saying, this is the next Bitcoin, right? This is the 2014 narrative. All these coins came out. This is the next Bitcoin. This is the next Bitcoin. And that's why it pumped. But for the longest time, is something going to be the next Ethereum ever? No. But I think the right way to think about it, though, is something going to be the next EVM? Ethereum's biggest innovation was EVM. And there's been years of development work on EVM. It's a fantastic language, and you can do a lot with it.
Well, now there's just a library of code, too, that you can just use.
But the thing is does Ethereum, the heart of Ethereum is the Ethereum virtual machine. That's Ethereum's contribution to the future of crypto, to the future of finance. Do we live in a reality where,
I'll tell you right now, there's chains being built that don't exist yet, that haven't launched yet, that might launch next year, mainnet at the end of the year, and they're going to be completely new. And they're probably going to learn some lessons from the things that exist today. And I think we're heading into a generational asset class that the best thing that's going to exist probably hasn't been created. Let's be real.
Yeah.
It's like we're kind of in dial-up right now. Maybe DSL, maybe that 1 megabyte per second, like in the late 90s. But it's the game we play, right? It's placing your bets, grabbing asymmetric information. Solana, you caught people's imagination this year big time, 76x from early in the year. Let's see what the next couple of years brings. Guys, we've got to wrap up. It's been an absolute pleasure to have Dan and Rob back, the full squad. Often when they're away, they bring us the sympathy. We get the extra hour, which is great. We're going to be back on next Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern, most likely. And I'll be on Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern for Hxro Labs Live. Make sure if you haven't already and you're still here, hit the bell, hit the like, hit the sub, all the good stuff.
That like button. We got
hit us up.
Who fucking smashed the dislike?
That's fucking
2 hours.
Literally, don't come back.
Somebody who loves NFTs midway might have just exited. But no, it's all good, guys. Thanks for coming around. Look, for what it's worth, the trend is down right now. I am patient, sitting on my hands, waiting for the big fat green volume bar on the daily. So if you're ever wondering what I'm doing, that's probably just waiting right now. For what it's worth. That's my TLDR on the charts. Guys, have a wonderful week. And whatever you do from now until next time, always play from a position of strength. Take care.